All righty, welcome everyone to the Football Addicts Anonymous podcast. The normal crew couldn't be in, so we got a good replacement here. Nick Monday, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to talk through this stuff today. I have been a football fan for as long as I can remember, so I am very excited for this.
Yes, sir. My fellow Marquette Law.
Let's go Golden Eagles.
And in Packer country, which is great. So we'll talk about
Go Pack, go.
NFC
Let's go
at the end of the show here today.
Yeah, can't wait to dive into the NFC North.
So we'll roll through the news here, and then we will get into the NFC North season preview. I was doing the record predictions before the show here, and it was
that's cool.
It's a tough schedule for the NFC North this year.
Yeah, no doubt.
AFC East, NFC East. There are two divisions they play. But anyways, we have a game to talk about. I forgot to put that on the script, but we do have a game to talk about. Football is officially back.
Oh, man.
The same game happened on Thursday night. Raiders got the win 27-11 over the Jags. It was a nice homecoming. Josh McDaniels from the Canton area. He played his high school football games at Tom Benson Field. Raiders look solid. Neither team played any starters except the Raiders. Everyone was talking about Josh Jacobs. I didn't put his stats on here, but I liked it. I liked seeing Josh Jacobs out there because that bodes well for my prediction in that Zamir White will be the lead back in 23 at the very least, if he's not late on in the 22 season.
Yeah, although I will say I'm sad to see Amir Abdullah not get more action. I saw him when he was at Nebraska. Saw him in person, I think, a couple times when Nebraska played Wisconsin at Camp Randall, and he was a pretty good back in college. I wish I could have seen him have a little more action in the game, but yeah, pretty solid showing from the Raiders. It's a bummer that none of the starters ever play in the Hall of Fame game, but football is football, and it's great to see it back.
Yeah, and USFL transfer there, Kyle Sloter, I thought did a nice job. 127 had the most passing yards in the game, scored a touchdown. The Jags only won of the game. And he might even have done well enough. I mean, it was only one game, but if the Jags keep 3, I could see Sloter beating out Jake Luton for that third spot right now. Other notes, like I said, Zamir White was I thought fantastic in this game. 11 carries, 52 yards, and he proved that he could catch the ball, which was one of the biggest knocks on him coming into the draft this year. But 3 catches for 23 yards there. And then Nathan Cottrell scored the touchdown for the Jags. And then the other thing I want to talk about, the guy at the bottom there, number 1 overall pick, Trayvon Walker.
Yeah.
I thought he had a great game. He didn't play that much, but the first play of the game, granted, it got called on a penalty for roughing the passer because he hit the quarterback in the head with his arm. But he got pressure right away. So ended up with a sack, tackle for loss, and a QB hit to go along with a solo tackle there.
Yeah, really promising first outing there. I'm really excited to see what he can do as we move forward.
Yeah, Arden Key as well there for the Jags. He played for the Raiders before, 2 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
I don't have the betting stats for this game because we're not going to cover them. But I know I did see a lot of people on Twitter that I know that are cappers lost because they had the under 30.5.
Yeah.
And the Raiders didn't care. All right, let's get into some news here. USFL. There's one piece of USFL news, which is weird.
Yeah.
The USFL is potentially going to create a USFL video game, in conjunction with Axis Football, who I've never heard of them, but sure, go ahead. Why not?
I think it'd be fun. I don't know if you played a lot of the Madden video games and NFL Street and stuff growing up. I was a huge gamer and specifically sports video games. And I remember the days on the PS2 and the original Xbox and stuff when they had the Arena Football League games even. So it's kind of fun to see that. I'd love to see more indie football games. And EA, it's cliche to say at this point, but it's true that EA just keeps cranking out the same thing after same thing after same thing with the Madden series now. So I think it's the more competition we can get, even if we have to start small with the USFL game, I think it's good. Hopefully it'll push Madden to innovate more. Or at least give people more options in terms of football video games.
It's just weird that, like, I don't know, like, what players you would put in, because you never know what players are going to be in the USFL.
Yeah.
And the XFL that's coming back in 23, and then, those players going to the NFL. So, yeah.
Right. Well, so wasn't the USFL going to be geared up to be kind of the developmental league for the NFL? Weren't they going to kind
of? Not actually, because the XFL actually has partnered with the NFL, not the USFL.
Oh, so it's the XFL that okay.
It's not a like 100% like
right.
You're like our developmental league. It's just the XFL and the NFL have a partnership to kind of share technology information.
Sure. Yeah. Because I just couldn't, because I was like, if one gets established as an actual D League, like the NBA has the G League and everything, then I could really see a video game come into play, because then it'd be easier to track which players are where. But though an XFL video game, in all fairness, might actually be even more entertaining than a USFL video game, because they do play more around with the technology and the different rules and stuff. It'd be, I don't know. I think it'd be fun. I'm still waiting for NCAA football to come back. I want a new college football video game. Please get on that, EA.
Well, that's a nice segue into our NCAA news. Also, just one piece here. It's not the official one, because the official one is the Associated Press's poll. But we do have our first preseason college football poll out today. The coaches poll. Alabama #1. Who would have thought?
Surprise, surprise.
54 of the how many first place votes is there? 66, I think. First place vote. 54 of them went to Alabama. Ohio State 2 with 5 first place. Go Dogs, the reigning national champions, are number 3 with 6 first place, so they got one more than Ohio State. But Clemson 4, Notre Dame 5, Michigan 6, A&M 7, Utah 8, Oklahoma 9, Baylor 10, Oklahoma State 11, Oregon 12, NC State 13, 14 is Michigan State, 15 USC, 16 is Pitt, Miami at 17, Texas at 18, and Texas got one first place vote.
How? Why?
Hey,
what have they done to prove that?
Sark and Quinn Ewers down there.
Oh, ridiculous.
Wake Forest at 19, Wisconsin at 20.
I'm Wisconsin. Let's go.
Kentucky at 21, Cincy at 22, Arkansas at 23, Ole Miss at 24, and Houston at 25. I'm just pissed off. Penn State finished. They were the second one out. I think Iowa was the first one out, and then Penn State was the second one out. No one's giving respect to James Franklin. I see how it is.
Penn State, I feel like every other year they're good or they're really bad. It just it goes back and forth. And Yeah, could never put my weight behind. The only coach in the Big Ten that I can really put my weight behind is, of course, Ryan Day at Ohio State. Even as a Badger, I love Paul Chryst, but I got to see some better recruiting out of Wisconsin and him. But yeah, it seems like the only coach that really consistently has a program still going is, of course, Ryan Day.
Look, every year that Penn State gets Ohio State at home, they have a chance.
And they do have them in Happy Valley this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, Penn State absolutely I 100% Penn State has a chance in Happy Valley, especially in whiteout conditions. If they do that against,
no, that's the dumbest thing. They moved the whiteout game. They moved it.
What's the whiteout game this year?
They're playing Northwestern, I think.
What? Oh God!
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's many surprises on this top 5. I think the coaches poll is always so much different than what the AP puts out.
Yeah, that's true.
AP is a lot more realistic than what the coaches are, but
what I will say is I don't know why we continually put faith in Clemson and Notre Dame, why the coaches poll does, because Notre Dame always has this preseason hype and then always finds a way to kind of choke that away. And Clemson, although, yeah, they've, within the last 5-10 years have been, an amazing program at the top of college football. Of the last 2 years, they really haven't done much. Now, given we're coming out of a pandemic, so who knows? But I was not convinced by Clemson last year. And I don't know that they, that merits them being ranked as 4th.
Yeah, I think the couple of question marks other than those, Oklahoma, what are we going to see with the new coaching staff and Brett Venables down there?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And also new quarterback as well. I don't even remember who they got. But that one, Pitt is breaking in new quarterback. Keaton Slovis coming over from USC.
Yeah.
And then also, I think Cincinnati is interesting. New quarterback, Desmond Ridder gone now.
You think
Ole Miss the same way? No Matt Corral anymore. So
yeah, you think with USC with Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, do you think that they're poised to make a jump this year? Do you think they contend for a playoff spot at the very least?
Well, I don't think they're going to get the playoffs. No. I think they're going to finish second in their division. That's what my first thought was. I think Utah is the sleeper of the year this year.
That is true. They are very underrated.
Kyle Whittingham consistently puts out a winning program, and Utah, while they didn't win, did they? I can't remember. They won the Pac-12 last year, right?
Yeah, Utah lost to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. They won the Pac-12.
Right. So yeah, I mean, they consistently put out a program. Oregon, I think Utah and Oregon, it's going to be them again in the Pac-12 championship. Even in Dan Lanning's first year as a head coach, man knows how to coach, especially defense. Got to replace Kayvon Thibodeau this year, but they have a guy in Noah Sewell at linebacker that is one of the best in the country. So I think Oregon's going to be pretty good too.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me ask you, Georgia, are they a one-hit wonder? Or do you think they keep their success up? Do you think they go around another year?
They're not going to repeat. They're not going to repeat this year. I do think they'll make the playoff again. It'll be, I think Alabama, Georgia both make it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we just lost almost our whole defense last year. Yeah. So, I mean, we do still have a potential number 1 pick in Jalen Carter. But a lot of stuff to replace on defense. It's going to flip this year. Our offense is going to have to carry the team.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Georgia had amazing defense last year. That was incredible.
All righty. Let's move on to NFL news here. First off, maybe not the biggest news of the week, but if it's not, it's the second biggest news of the week. The Dolphins, they have forfeited their 2023 first and 2024 third round picks. Owner Stephen Ross also suspended through October 17th this year after violating the integrity of the game policy. So what happened? The Dolphins talked to Tom Brady not once, but twice over a 3-year period. First, when he was with the Patriots, 2019 to 2020, they talked to him a couple times. And then when he was with the Bucks, they talked to him in 2021 as well about potentially becoming an executive with the Dolphins. And some points they mentioned him possibly playing for the Dolphins. And not only did they talk to Tom Brady, but they talked to Sean Payton's agent, Don Yee, about becoming the head coach of the Miami Dolphins while he was still under contract with the Saints. So, high draft picks, NFL set precedent here.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely, I think you gotta slap that down. You can't have owners interfering like that. I just question what was he? I mean, Tom Brady, yeah, he, like 2019, 2020, 2021, he has 3-4 years at that point, had like 3 or 4 years left. I think he plays maybe 1-2 more seasons and then retires again. But I just don't you really think, talking to Tom Brady, you really think you're going to get him to be a part of the Dolphins organization to play or be, have an executive role? And then Sean Payton too. Why are you barking up that tree? What do you really, you think he's going to, bolt from the Saints? But yeah, I think that's right for the NFL to really slap that down.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I feel like it came out of nowhere. In terms of news wise, I had heard nothing about this.
Yeah.
It's just like dropped. It's just like a big bomb. So yeah, it's crazy. Luckily for the Dolphins, they do have another first round pick next year. The Niners first round pick, the last pick from the Trey Lance trade up 2020 or 2021, whatever. Next, we're sticking with the bad bad vibes here.
Yeah.
We finally have a conclusion in the Demaryius Thomas death. Autopsy report came out. He officially died of seizure disorder complications. So the family was pretty much right. They thought that he had died because of a seizure or something related to that, and that's what the coroner said. And it was also interesting to note that CTE was not a factor, they said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is really surprising. I mean, I feel like with so many of these, NFL players dying, especially when you hear about an NFL player dying in their 30s or 40s, usually CTE played a factor. Usually they're, they pick their own lives. So it's, that's interesting to see that CTE wasn't even a factor here, and makes that situation all the more tragic that it was a seizure that ultimately, killed him.
Yeah. To his former team. So the Penner Walton family, they have just been collecting owners left and right from all different areas.
Yeah,
they collected Condoleezza Rice. She is a part owner now, and now we have another entry into the ownership group of the Broncos. 7-time Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton is joining the Broncos ownership group as well. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you're just throwing, you might as well. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I'm glad that the Packers, I take so much pride in the fact that the Packers are the one team that don't, have a private owner.
Yeah. Okay, next on the docket here, Saints wide receiver 2021 7th round selection Kaywan Baker Suspended for the first 6 games. PEDs. Was doing a lot of return work, I think, with them and trying to make the team at wide receiver. It's going to be tough this year. Mike Thomas is back. They added Jarvis Landry, added Chris Olave. Very tough for Baker to make it.
That's a stacked wide receiver.
Games, so
yeah.
Other wide receiver, Cardinals wide receiver Marquise Brown arrested and charged with criminal speeding. Haven't heard anything. I mean, obviously, it just happened. So, I mean, the Cardinals could be royally screwed, depending on if he gets suspended for this and how many games already without DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games. They could be relying on 34? I think he's 34 now. 35-year-old AJ Green to be their number 1 receiver. A guy that hasn't been since 19.
Yeah. Any chance they can convince Larry Fitzgerald to come back? I mean, that is a thin wide receiver room. That's going to be kind of brutal. Yeah, I don't see them going 6-0 to start the season again for sure.
Yeah, there is one name out there who has been keeping contact with their division rival, the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Odell Beckham Jr. is still available. Probably, I don't know the free agent list of receivers off the top of my head right now, but I would assume that he is probably the number 1 option out there.
Yeah,
receiver, if he's healthy. So,
I heard the Packers were kind of. Or there was some interest there mutually between the Packers and OBJ. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out.
Right. Okay. Like I said, if the Dolphins wasn't the number 1 thing, then the Deshaun Watson case is the number 1 thing because the NFL filed its appeal for the Deshaun Watson 6-game suspension. The league is continuing to fight for a year-long suspension. That is what their appeal mentioned, I guess. And to go along with that, a monetary fine, because right now Deshaun got a 6-game with no fine. Commissioner Goodell, he appointed his designee to hear the appeal. It's going to be former New Jersey Attorney General Peter C. Harvey. And the decision will be expeditious per the CBA. And the NFLPA also filed their reply to the appeal. So Harvey has everything he needs to decide on it. Just a matter of when.
Yeah, I mean, that whole case blows my mind because, I love the players that I can't remember wasn't it one of the Falcons wide receivers had gotten suspended for either betting or smoking.
Calvin Ridley,
yeah, Calvin Ridley. I heard him come out right away and be like, a 6-game suspension? Are you kidding me? And I completely agree with that. With cases of sexual assault or domestic violence or whatever, you really got to slap these athletes down because, we saw this with Adrian Peterson, with Ray Rice. The outrage comes out. These athletes, it's not a good look for the league when the athletes just get a slap on the wrist and they can come back and play and whatever. And now, given with both Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice, their careers were not the same post, their controversies and their actions. But yeah, with Deshaun Watson, I mean, you gotta. I hope he ends up getting a full year suspension. I'm surprised, that they only went with a 6-game and no fine. And yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I have mentioned it multiple times. I thought it was going to be somewhere between 8 to 12 games, ended up at 6.
Yeah.
Lower than what I expected. But yeah, we'll see. Because per the CBA, the appeal can result in a lengthening, a shortening, or, a push.
Right.
Lack of better terms.
Yeah, sure.
So we will wait and see, and wait to see how long it takes. I mean, I don't know how many documents he has to go through and whatnot.
Yeah.
So wait and see on
Yeah,
that.
no doubt.
A couple of preseason updates for the upcoming preseason week 1. The Bears, who we'll talk about, they announced, head coach Matt Eberflus announced that all starters are going to play week 1. Probably not for long, but yes,
Yeah.
all your starters will be playing for the Chicago Bears this weekend.
Unbelievable.
Also, with the Ravens, quarterback Lamar Jackson and tight end Mark Andrews, they will not be playing this weekend. Yeah. Those are the couple updates in terms of who's playing this weekend anyways.
Yeah.
Saints linebacker Kiko Alonso, he has retired. It was weird. He signed. He hadn't played since 2019, when he was with the Saints last. But he signed. They worked him out, signed him. He lasted one practice, and then he's like, "Nope, I'm good. I'm retiring."
Unbelievable.
So 6 seasons for Kiko Alonso, infamous for being traded to the Eagles from Buffalo for LaShawn McCoy. Didn't do anything with the Eagles.
Got caught.
Best years, I think, were in Miami.
Mhm.
But yeah, not the best career, but
Yeah, no doubt.
6 seasons longer than a lot of people last. So
It's true.
roster cut downs. Just an update on the dates and how many players are getting cut each time. So August 16th, that's next Tuesday, we'll have the first roster cut. Only going to be 5 players, going from 90 to 85. And then the week after that, August 23rd, we'll go 85 to 80, so another 5. And then the final cut, August 30th, the big one, 80 to 53. So they're cutting 27 players from each team. It's a lot. That's a lot of conversations. But yeah, those are the dates and cuts. Toughest time of the preseason.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be fascinating to see how all the teams pare down their rosters. And I go back and forth with myself about whether I'd like having the preseason games or not, but I do think it gives teams a good opportunity to see what they really have and who they need to hang on to and who they need to let go. So yeah, it's always an interesting time.
Yeah, you have to. I hate the people that say we shouldn't even play preseason games, but it's the preseason not about the fans. Preseason is about building your roster and seeing which 53 you want.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of one of those guys that may be on the roster bubble, I don't think he is anymore because Eagles undrafted free agent wide receiver Britton Covey, rookie from Utah, he got some first team reps at slot wide receiver this week in practice. Guy I love. I really like that the Eagles signed him, and he's short slot receiver in the mold of Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, those kind of guys. So yeah, I'm excited. We've had some injuries this preseason. Some nicks, not major injuries, but Devontae Smith's dealing with something. Quez Watkins got a little dinged up, I think. And then I think maybe 1 or 2 other guys at the receiver position are ailing right now. So yeah. Make the most of your opportunities, young man.
It's true.
The Panthers, they're going to continue to split reps at quarterback and left tackle through at week 2 of the preseason. That's a game in Foxborough at the Patriots. Quarterback, I don't think either of those positions are, in my mind, very competitive. Quarterback, maybe, but what I'm hearing out of Panthers camp is it's Baker Mayfield. He has been much better than Sam Darnold has. And left tackle, I don't think is much competition either. Ike Ekwonu, I think I've heard has looked very good as well. So I think that's going to be your quarterback left tackle week 1 anyways.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray, he is back at practice. Had I don't know if he actually did the 5 minimum days or not, or if he tested negative before that. He is back after his positive COVID test last week. This one, it was interesting. I just randomly heard about this. Browns running back Kareem Hunt, last year of his deal, this year 2-year $12 million deal. He requested a trade from Cleveland. He wants out, wants the opportunity to be a legit number 1 running back again, like he was in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Team declined it. They said, "No, bro, you're staying here for the rest of your contract this year." So.
I mean, like, if you end up in Cleveland, I think odds are you're gonna request a trade sooner rather than later. Yeah, and he's not a bad back. I mean, it makes sense. Cleveland wants to hang on to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have one of the most stacked running back rooms in the league. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson. They drafted Jerome Ford too.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
The NFL has asked officials to pay attention to illegal contact fouls more this season. So, every year it's always something with the officials. They're always instructed to pay more attention to a certain foul. So, looks like we're going to be seeing more illegal contact fouls this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, again, probably for the best. I mean, the more that comes out about CTE and, all the injuries that can happen and everything, it's probably for the best that the refs keep a closer eye on that. I know in the college game, they tend to call targeting a lot, which sometimes drives people crazy, but I think is necessary to keep the players safe. But yeah, I mean, I like that decision by the league to tell the refs to do that. Yeah. So long as we don't have replacement refs trying to operate with those rules, I think we're good.
Well, the illegal contact isn't unnecessary roughness. The illegal contact is on defensive backs. Touching receivers past the 5 yards.
Oh, right.
Allowed. So it's another one of those fouls that's like very subjective. So
yeah, that's odd. The whole kind of, pass interference, illegal contact, defensive holding type of, that whole area is always really difficult to establish. And I feel like hearkening back, what was it, like 2 or 3 years ago, the infamous Saints-Rams NFC Championship, if they can't get an obvious pass interference call, right, that's a tall ask to do. Have a closer eye on illegal contact. That's tough. There's definitely a gray area there.
Yeah, I don't like illegal contact. Defensive holding and pass interference, I completely I understand. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that I don't think understand what the difference is. The holding is when the ball is still in the quarterback's hands, hasn't left it yet. The defender is grabbing the receiver's jersey or whatnot. Pass interference, the ball's in the air, the defender is impeding the receiver. I think it's simple, but hard to call live, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So we had the 2022 Hall of Fame class inducted this past weekend. Great ceremony. I didn't get to catch any of the speeches. They were during the day.
Yeah.
It was weird. I was like getting updates about these speeches. I'm like, I didn't even know they were in the day. I thought
Yeah,
they were.
right.
But anyways, we have a couple players first ballot eligible next year for the 2023 class. So Jets corner Darrelle Revis, Colts defensive end Dwight Freeney, Browns left tackle Joe Thomas, and Saints guard Jari Evans. Not really sure if any of those four are going to make it first ballot.
Yeah.
Revis might have the best opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, Revis was a flashy player. He was amazing. I, as a Badger, hope Joe Thomas gets in. I loved him at Wisconsin, and obviously he was an amazing left tackle for the Browns for his whole career. And honestly, again, not to bash Cleveland, but like if you spend your whole career in Cleveland, Ohio, you probably deserve to be on the Hall of Fame, regardless of what you're done. I mean, it's like spending your whole career in Detroit. Just you earned it because of that. I mean, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. We've been getting updates on the seniors committee. We have the finalists for that. We'll wait for the selection committee to give us the list of semifinalists for the what's it called? The modern era
Right.
semifinals. The NFI list, we had some guys come off that today or this week. Cardinals wide receiver Marquise Brown and Steelers safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. Marquise Brown, obviously, we talked about it. He's probably going to be suspended soon anyways. So to try to get your practices in while you can. I mean, obviously, he'll practice until the season starts. That's fine. But happy to get Minkah back at practice. He had hurt his wrist. He fell off a bike while vacationing. So
jeez.
Back. The pup list, we got a couple guys back off that as well. Browns rookie wide receiver David Bell. I'm very excited about him this year. Rookie out of Purdue. I think he's gonna have a lot of opportunity. I think Brown's receiver room is not that great outside of Amari Cooper. I think Bell could be the eventually wide receiver 2 in that room to Cooper.
Yeah.
And then another guy I'm very excited that came off the pup, Ravens running back J.K. Dobbins. Hyped about him. I traded for him last year in Dynasty right before he got injured.
Yeah.
I traded for him again in a different Dynasty league this year, a first and a second round pick next year going to that person who I got him from. He sent me that offer and I was like, that's fine. I like him. I like him. Think he's going to have a good year. Could even play week 1, they said, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, J.K. Dobbins seems like he's going to have a really solid career. He already seems like he's got some solid production. And then, of course, he was with Ohio State, did great things. Obviously not perhaps as talented or skilled as Ezekiel Elliott, but still, very good back.
Right. Injuries. Rams wide receiver Van Jefferson, he underwent knee surgery. TBD for week 1. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe that plays a factor in the OBJ conversations. Cowboys wide receiver James Washington, he's out 6 to 10 weeks, fractured right foot. He underwent surgery this week to repair that fracture. So I was talking about the Browns receiver room. The Cowboys receiver room is very thin as well. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, yes. But there ain't much behind that. Cedric Wilson's with the Dolphins, Amari Cooper with the Browns now. So James Washington brought in to be that third guy. They're gonna have to lean on Oh, why am I blanking on his name? Rookie,
Oh, yeah.
wide receiver. I know he's South Alabama. I know his
Yeah,
college.
yeah, yeah.
I can't remember his name right now, but yeah. Bills safety Jordan Poyer, hyperextended elbow, expected to be back by week 1. So good news for Buffalo there. Gonna need it playing the Rams week 1. Bad news for the Broncos. Wide receiver Tim Patrick and running back Demarie Crockett both tore their ACLs. They are both done for the season. Crockett maybe wouldn't have made the team. Patrick, though, sucks for him. He had a fantastic season last year with all the injuries to Cortland Sutton and
Oh, sure.
but yeah, not going to be able to play with Russell Wilson this year. Tim Patrick.
Oh, man. Yeah. That is tough.
Vikings wide receiver Irv Smith Jr. He injured his thumb, had surgery, still hasn't been ruled out yet for week 1. That's a big issue for the Vikings. When you look at their depth chart, which I think we'll talk about with them,
Right.
there's not much behind Smith at tight end. So hopefully he's back for week 1. If not, they'll have to kind of band-aid it up for the first week there.
Yeah.
Saints undrafted free agent safety Smoke Monday, rookie out of Auburn, I think. No, Kentucky. I always forget. There's like 2 guys that are named Smoke.
Smoke Monday.
Smoke Monday is out of Auburn. Yeah, Cavazier Smoke.
Auburn. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, Smoke Monday tore his ACL. He's done for the year before his rookie season even gets started. Apparently he was doing very well, even as an undrafted guy. Tyrann Mathieu gave him some high praise there in Saints camp. But yeah, done for the year. Smoke Monday is Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. He has thrower's elbow, which is they described it as more of a pitcher's injury in baseball. I know our guy Mark from the show here, he texted me, he said he's concerned about Matthew Stafford's elbow. He's a Rams fan, so yeah, but
Yeah.
they said that it didn't look like they were limiting him in practice at all.
Yeah, that is an odd injury. I'm not sure what baseball type, pitcher type injury is, but yeah, that is an odd one. Yeah, baseball type injury. Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think they said that he had been dealing with that like into last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
I mean, the dude won a game with a broken collarbone, how many years ago? He'll be all right.
Bucks wide receiver Mike Evans, he tweaked his hamstring in practice, so he's been on the sidelines for a bit. That Evans, he has had hamstrings in the past, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of a big issue in my mind. Those soft ones always tough and finicky, I think.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough. Obviously, he's a really talented player, and to be bogged down with injury issues like that's gonna cause some problems.
And that's another team that's like, wide receiver. They might not have Godwin to start the season coming back from the ACL. Now if Evans can't start the season, they stop Julio.
Yeah.
They have Russell Gage as well. They signed in free agency, so maybe that's fine, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Bengals tight end Drew Sample. He has an MCL sprain. He's going to be out a few weeks. Bodes well for one of my fantasy sleepers, tight end Hayden Hurst. Love him this year in fantasy for the Bengals. So he's going to be getting his reps increased there in Cincy with Sample out. Ravens, rookie center Tyler Linderbaum. He's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. He has a Liz Frank sprain. Had an issue with that coming in to the draft and everything. Thought he had gotten through it. Luckily for him, it wasn't a rupture. It was just a sprain. So out 1 to 2 weeks, though, should be good to go for week 1. Packers, safety Darnell Savage. He also has a hamstring injury, just like Mike Evans. He tweaked it during one of their practices Friday night. So see how long he has to be out. But yeah.
Yeah, because memory serves, they're not super. The Packers don't have a whole lot of depth at safety. So yeah, it'd be great hopefully to have Darnell Savage bounce back from that in a speedy way.
Giants 5th round rookie guard Marcus McKeithen tore his ACL. He is done for the year. So it's getting to that preseason week 1. We're starting to see it. It's the injury bug's hitting. It's coming.
Yeah.
4 ACLs just on or 5. We got 4 ACLs on this show. Yeah.
Man.
Bears wide receiver N'Keal Harry. He has a high ankle sprain. Sucks. I was just talking about him last show, I think, when we were talking about the trade from New England, and was excited. I thought that he would have a very good opportunity in a very just abysmal wide receiver room. And now he's going to be out, possibly, hopefully returning for week 1 there.
Yeah, it's true. Bears certainly need that depth.
And then final injury news here. Saints quarterback Jameis Winston rolled his ankle today. Getting evaluated for that still, but I haven't heard any updates on him. I'm hoping Jameis is all right because I'm very high on New Orleans this year.
Yeah.
Transactions, we got some releases. One guy there. Dolphins, they released defensive tackle Adam Butler, failed physical designation, so he'll be able to recoup some money there. A good player with New England, and trying to make it with the Dolphins this year. Will not be with Miami right now, anyways. Talk about money. Some guys got paid this week. Cardinals, they signed left tackle DJ Humphries to a 3-year, $66.8 million extension, $34 million guaranteed there. Deserved. I think Humphries is a left tackle. Not many people talk about, but he is one of the better ones out there.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a really underrated player. I'm glad to see that he's getting finally some attention and the kind of the money that he deserves. Because I think he's a really solid left tackle.
Yeah, and the Steelers, they signed wide receiver Deontay Johnson, 2 years, $36.71 million, $27 million guaranteed. Very excited about this. I've been waiting on the Steelers to pay him. They finally did. Shorter contract than most of the other receivers got, but allows him to enter free agency again in 2024. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy that Deontay is back on the field and actually going to be practicing again.
Yeah.
The Ravens, they signed the greatest kicker in NFL history. Kicker Justin Tucker to a 4-year, $24 million extension, $17.5 million guaranteed. He's the highest paid kicker in NFL history, and very much deservedly so.
As he should be. Yeah.
The record 100%. For the longest field goal in NFL history, 66 yards. To
just ludicrous.
He has the highest field goal percentage in the make percentage in league history. hasn't missed a kick in the last minute of regulation in his career.
Unbelievable.
And I think he's only missed I don't remember the exact stat, but he's only missed a couple in the last 5 minutes of a game or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ravens need to hang on to him as long as they possibly can.
Yeah. He only has one thing left to do, really. It's to break the scoring record
Oh, yeah.
of the Morton Anderson, or I never remember which Anderson it is. Gary Morton. Gary
Those mixed up.
but yeah.
Gary Anderson, Morton Anderson. Yeah.
Whoever has the scoring record, the only thing I think Justin Tucker has left to do.
Yeah, 100%. If you can do that, I mean, he's the GOAT.
Yeah, he already won a Super Bowl, so yeah.
It's true. He's already got that ring.
The Bills, they signed fullback Reggie Gilliam to a 2-year, $5.2 million extension. Nice deal for him. Was going to be a free agent next in the offseason. Bills do good to lock him up there. Yeah. Signings, couple guys signed here. The Cowboys, they signed Vikings linebacker Anthony Barr, 1 year, $3 million deal, get some linebacker depth. I think they needed that, really. I don't think there was very much behind Micah Parsons and Leighton Vander Esch there in Dallas.
Yeah, I think that's right.
The Saints, they signed Vikings tight end Chris Herndon, former starter with the Jets, played with the Vikings last year. Yeah, it's whatever. I don't think it's a big impact, but
yeah, right.
Texans signed Titans wide receiver Chester Rogers. He's making his AFC South tour. Just has one team left to click off. If he can play with the Jags sometime in his career, he will have the Titans. He already has the Titans and Colts. So with the Texans now. The Niners, they signed Panthers wide receiver Willie Snead. So I think that was another wide receiver room that I thought needed some help. Depth wise, I didn't think it was great. And then the Commanders, they signed former Eagles linebacker Nathan Gary. The only reason I put him on there was because he's a former Eagle.
Of course.
We got some more USFL signings. So I think I saw the USFL's Twitter post. They're up to 40 signings to the NFL so far from their inaugural season this year. But the Lions, they signed Stars wide receiver Maurice Alexander. Commanders signed Generals corner Devontae Bosby. The Broncos, they signed Generals wide receiver Darius Shepard, former Packer there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to need Darius Shepard now with the Patrick injury there.
Yeah, it's true.
The Bears, they signed Stallions linebacker DeMarcus Gates, which that is a fantastic signing by Chicago. I love DeMarcus Gates. He was absolutely lights out this year in the USFL.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then finally the Browns, or no, we got two more. The Browns signed USFL Defensive Player of the Year, Gamblers defensive end Chris Odom. So that is, loaded position for them now with Garrett, Clowney, Odom, and also, they got Winovich in a trade with the Patriots this offseason.
Their defense is stacked, but Myles Garrett has to be careful to not get in any more trouble. Keep himself away from bashing other quarterbacks over the head,
Yeah. And then finally, the Jags, they signed Stars running back Matt Colburn. Very happy for him. I thought he was one of the best players in the USFL this year as well. might not make the team. It's a kind of loaded running back room there in Jacksonville, with Etienne coming back. So
Yeah, true.
and then a couple of visits, workouts. The Bears, they worked out Bengals corner Vernon Hargraves. The Niners worked out Vikings wide receiver D.D. Westbrook. The Steelers working out running backs, Raiders running back Jalen Richard and Vikings running back Wayne Gallman. And then the Saints worked out Colts defensive back TJ Carey. Okay. So all the news. I've been getting Twitter notifications. I don't think the only thing the Raiders, they tried out veteran nose tackle Danny Shelton. Familiar with Josh McDaniels from his days in New England. And then Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford did not throw today, but he is on track with their overall throwing plan for him. Okay, let's get to what everyone came for today. The NFC North season preview here. We got Aiden Hutchinson. We got Quay Walker, Zadarius Smith, and Kyler Gordon here on the screen. Newcomers to the division this year. I usually try to find free agents to put on here, Zadarius Smith, but the Lions, Packers, and Bears didn't really have any marquee free agents that they signed. So we got rookies instead. But anyways, starting off with the Detroit Lions, we go through this by draft position, final draft position in the first round. So Lions are first. Re-signings this offseason, quarterbacks David Blau and Tim Boyle, wide receivers Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds, defensive end Charles Harris, linebacker Alex Anzalone, and safety Tracy Walker. Couple free agent signings that they did make. Wide receiver DJ Chark, linebacker Jared Davis comes back to Detroit after a year in New York with the Jets. Corner Mike Hughes, and then safety Deshaun Elliott. And then losses for the Lions, defensive tackle Nick Williams, linebacker Trey Flowers, linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maben, and safety Dean Marlowe. So not much movement this offseason for Detroit. Keeping most of the team together how they had it last year and just hoping that they get better in Dan Campbell's system.
Yeah, it's interesting that they added, to me, the main interesting thing is that they added 2 quarterbacks to their room. I like David Blau. He played for Purdue. Once again, I saw him when Wisconsin would play against Purdue, and I always thought he was a really solid quarterback. I think that will provide some good depth there behind Jared Goff. But other than that, yeah, you're right. I mean, the Lions really have kind of just stayed, they haven't really made real big moves. And we'll see how that turns out. I don't have high hopes for the Lions again this year, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess I could have put DJ Chark on here, but I think Aiden Hutchinson is the biggest newcomer to the Lions.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
to overall.
Yeah, he was Aiden Hutchinson he was from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. That is a good ad for sure.
So getting into the Lions schedule here, I have them improving this year. They went, 3-14 last year, I think. But I have them going 6-11 this year. So for any of the bettors out there, I believe the Lions win total right now is set at over under 5.5. Maybe they hit that, maybe they don't. I wouldn't touch it. 5.5 is a very volatile line. I don't like that line. But I have them with 6 wins, 2-4 in the division. So week 1, home against the Eagles, that's a loss. It's not being a homer. It's just the Lions are going to lose to the Eagles in Detroit 1. And I might go to that game. We'll see.
Ooh, wow.
If I can get anyone to go with me.
Big talk.
Week 2, they're home against the Commanders. I have the Lions winning that game.
Certainly. I think they have a real shot at that. Commanders are always very hit or miss. They're not great right now. I could definitely see that as a win.
Yeah, I don't trust Carson Wentz, and
Yeah.
it's going to be too early on in the season. New quarterback, still trying to gel with the receivers there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Week 3 at the Vikings, that is a loss.
That's a loss. Oh, yeah. Big
Week
time.
4 home against the Seahawks, that's a win.
Yeah.
Me,
I can't remember who do the Seahawks have as starting QB right now.
we don't know. It's either Geno Smith, Drew Lock. I believe Drew Lock.
Yeah, I think Drew Lock had the right. That's what I thought. Yeah, I think Drew Lock has that slight edge there.
But there is a one number 10 that's wearing burgundy and gold right now. That would have to get released because trade him in division. But Jimmy G is a potential ad for Seattle.
Yeah, I don't see the Seahawks going into unless they would, potentially if they would add Jimmy G. But I don't see the Seahawks going into Detroit and winning against the Lions.
Week 5 at the Patriots, that's a loss.
Yeah,
very, very much better than them. Bye week 6, so relatively early bye for the Lions. I believe that's the I can't remember if that's the first or the second week of buys. It might be the first because I think the buys got condensed this year. I think there's a lot from week 6 to 14. So maybe it's the first, maybe it's the second week of buys. But anyways, bye week 6 for Detroit. They come out of the bye to a loaded 3 straight losses at the Cowboys, home against the Dolphins, and home against the Packers.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
All 3 losses. Then they go to Chicago and they win. I like them beating the Bears in Chicago. Week 10 there. I don't believe Justin Fields, but I'll talk about that more when we get
I don't know. I have a little more faith in Justin Fields. I actually in Chicago, I think maybe the Bears, because it is in Chicago, I think I'll give the edge to the Bears there.
Week 11 at the Giants, that's a loss. I'll talk more about that game after when I talk about the games that I starred for the schedule here. Week 12, home against the Bills, that's a Thanksgiving. That's a loss, unfortunately, for the Lions. That's a tough opponent on Thanksgiving.
Big time. Yeah.
Week 13, home against the Jags. That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win.
14, home against the Vikings. They lose. Swept by Minnesota. At the Jets, I have them winning.
Yep.
At the Panthers, that is a loss.
Yeah.
Home against the Bears, they lose. So there's your split with the Bears. I just have it as a reverse split. Home.
Yeah. You and I flipped the split there.
And then at the Packers, week 18, I had them winning.
What?
Because the Packers will not be playing anyone. Jordan Love will be starting. The Packers will have already left the division. Maybe they will be playing people. It just depends on if they're fighting, if they're fighting for the number 1 seed, or if their playoff position isn't set or whatnot, if they don't care where their playoff positioning is.
Yeah, because memory serves, this last season, I think the Packers rested their starters by and large for the last few weeks of the season, and that ended up kind of biting them. So who knows if the Packers maybe place more emphasis on playoff, spot this playoff seed this year. I agree. I hadn't considered that, but if they do rest their starters, then I could see the Lions squeaking one out in an icy Lambeau Field. Yeah.
So 6-11 for me for Detroit. Like I said, an improvement. That's what you want to see. That's what Dan Campbell set out to do. Just get better each year, and then year 3 or 4 in the program, that's when maybe we'll see the Lions back in the playoffs. If they get a rookie quarterback next year in a loaded quarterback class.
Yeah.
Fantasy. All right. Quarterback Jared Goff. I'm not touching him. I don't like Jared Goff.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree with that. He's
Uh,
just too inconsistent. He's just way too inconsistent.
yeah. I mean, I think he's rosterable. Obviously, yeah, 32 starting quarterbacks.
Right.
He's in a situation where there isn't any competition for his job.
Yeah.
They're going to be down in a lot of games, so it does that give you value potentially.
Yeah.
Does
I
he,
just still,
does he bring value to the table or not? Who knows? But
yeah.
he's rosterable. He's a quarterback too that you can keep if you need him for like a bye week or whatnot.
Yeah, sure. He'd be great to have as a backup, but yeah, I just think he's a bit too inconsistent to have him as a starting QB.
Running backs, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. Swift is dealing, or he was dealing with injury. I think he might be okay now. But I know he's been banged up a little bit in training camp. I'm hoping this is the year for DeAndre. I mean, I hate that they brought in Williams. It really killed his fantasy value. Not killed, but decreased his fantasy value because now he's in a somewhat share situation.
Right.
He did get a hell of a lot of receptions, though. I remember last year, I mean, he wasn't having very good running games, but Lions were down, and then all that they would do is Goff would throw it to Swift out of the backfield like 7 times.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think Swift's a good option as a RB2 in a PPR league.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really touch Jamal Williams though, unless Swift gets hurt.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Wide receivers here: Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark. I know I'm hoping DJ Chark can do something. I think I kept him. I'd have to look, but I think I kept him. He was on my one dynasty league team, and I think I kept him through his ankle injury last year on my IR and stuff. So I'm hoping that he can do something in a new situation. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been awesome for them.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he keeps progressing or not with year 2 of Goff.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at the roster here, the other thing that comes to mind as far as I feel like a sleeper wideout, Quintez Cephas, and naturally I'm a little biased because I am again a Badger fan, but he showed flashes of potential last year. He's currently slated as, I think here, the second slot on the left, backup left wide receiver. So, but I like his potential for sure.
Yeah. Gonna be tough. They re-signed Josh Reynolds, drafted Jameson Williams, who we'll talk about. Yeah, St. Brown, I think, is definitely a guy you can draft.
True.
Chark, maybe not. Maybe pick him up in undrafted free agency, potentially. It's just there's a lot of question marks with that. Tight end though, TJ Hawkinson, love him.
Yep.
He's gonna continue to be a top 10 at the worst tight end. I think pushing top 7 or top 5 tight end as well. I mean, could you imagine him with an actual quarterback to throw on the ball?
Unbelievable. Yeah, no. I mean, he is one of those players where you're like, God, can you just get him with the right offense, with the right quarterback? Be amazing. Yeah, no, very talented for sure.
So yeah, I love him. Definitely draft him as one your tight end 1. Detroit defense, not touching it. No chance.
God, no.
They're gonna be a bottom quarter of the league defense, I think. And even with the upgrades, the couple that they made, getting Hutchinson, they re-signed Charles Harris. They got I don't remember if they got Brockers last year or this year. They brought back Anzalone in the middle. Amani Arwarie is coming back from injury. Same with Jeff Okuda, who has done absolutely nothing since being drafted number 3 overall in 2019. So it's make or break year for Okuda there. So, but yeah, don't draft or roster the Lions defense. Don't do it.
By no means, under no circumstances are you to draft Detroit's defense.
And then kicker, this is the first time we've been doing the season previews. We've only done a couple divisions, but first time this year we've had this issue. I don't know who the Detroit kicker is. I believe Austin Seibert is the incumbent, but right now they have Riley Patterson as a starter on ESPN's depth chart.
Yeah, you're right.
So we'll see. I think Patterson, is this his first season? Is he a rookie? I can't remember when he came out of Memphis. No, second season. So yeah, we'll have to see. But again, you're not taking either of these guys.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't bite on that.
Not with probably a Lions offense that's not going to score as much as some of the other teams.
Right.
And then one rookie to talk about, it's wide receiver Jameson Williams. Definitely you're looking at him for a dynasty for sure. I wouldn't touch him in redrafts. For one, you don't know when he's going to play. I don't think he's going to be ready for week 1. I don't think he might not even play until week, 3 or 4.
Right.
So you're missing a couple games from him. And then plus, the first year after an ACL is always not that great. So I'm not expecting a lot from Jameson Williams, but you can definitely keep him on draft him in your rookie draft and keep him on your dynasty roster.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on to your Packers?
Let's go Packers. Yeah, no, let's head on to the Packers. Go Pack, go.
So, let you do most of the talking for this one, I guess. Starting off here, re-signings. Again, the Packers, just like the Lions, didn't really do much in the offseason.
Yeah.
Re-signings wise, they tendered wide receiver Alan Lazard, restricted free agent tender there. They brought back tight end Robert Tonyan. Brought back linebacker Devondre Campbell and also corner Rasul Douglas.
Yep.
Free agent signings, there were 3 of them. Wide receiver Sammy Watkins, defensive tackle Jaron Reed, and punter Pat O'Donnell. Losses. This was a lot. They lost.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot. They traded away wide receiver Devontae Adams. They also lost wide receivers Equinemius St. Brown and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Offensive tackle Dennis Kelly, guard Lucas Patrick, offensive lineman Billy Turner, defensive end Whitney Merciless retired.
Yep.
They lost linebackers Oren Burks and Zadarius Smith, corners Kevin King and Shannon Sullivan, and punter Corey Bjorquez. So talk about the Packers offseason here.
Yeah, I mean, that's brutal to lose. I mean, so much talent from both sides of the ball. It sounds cliche. We Packer fans have been saying this for years now, but can the Packers just get some good wide receivers? I mean, we're down bad and we're like, just give us OBJ, just please. I mean, I was beside myself when I saw Devontae Adams was traded away. I was really hoping that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams would be traded in a package. They were not. And yeah, I mean, wide receivers paper thin now, as always. I mean, the defense has to reload. Zadarius Smith was really big for the Packers. Kevin King was a really, really solid corner. I mean, it's just tough. And I look to the Packers to definitely have a down year. I was one of the fans that was like, let's just get rid of Rodgers. Let's get rid of Devontae Adams. Let's just completely do a rebuild. Let's just tank and rebuild, start over. Because at this point, it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better for a while. So why not just, because eventually Aaron Rodgers is old. He's got, got a couple of years left, definitely, but not a whole lot of time left. It's inevitable that at a certain point, the Packers are going to be in rebuild mode. And they should have got a jump on it. I thought this off season would have been their opportunity to get a jump on that. And needless to say, I don't think they took advantage of that. So yeah, it's my take.
Nick Monday fighting for the nuclear reset option.
Just hit the button. Just blow up the team. Start over. I mean, it's
but I do think they've done a good job of actually forecasting in the draft, because besides the Jordan Love thing, obviously that was a forecast as well. They thought possibly that Rodgers would be done by now, or he would want to leave. So, but I mean, you look, they drafted AJ Dillon a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They got Watson and Dobbs this year, who we'll talk about, Torrey as well in the draft.
Right.
They drafted DeGuara. They drafted, and then defensively, they had the draft picks this year, but they had Rashawn Gary coming up in the wings, which allowed them to let Zadarius Smith walk. They also had Eric Stokes here, who they drafted last year in the first round, to let Kevin King walk. So I think that's kind of what they've been doing. They've been forecasting out what they can afford, and doing.
No, I mean, I think it's smart to clear out that cap room and I guess go with some younger talent. But I think that is smart. They're definitely looking ahead by clearing the cap room, and hopefully this season, they make some good trades, or they take the season, see what's going on, and then the next off season they go back and look at free agency. But I don't know. It's always been an issue with the Packers that they've never been able to get the big names in free agency, and that was never the Packers' philosophy. I remember, I think the last GM of the Packers, I think that his philosophy was always to draft players. And I never felt like that really panned out very well. I always wanted them to go out for the bigger names in free agency, and they never did. And, that's kind of continued here to a certain degree, but we'll see. Maybe OBJ hopefully they get OBJ and that's the start of something new. I don't know. We'll see.
So the schedule wise, originally I had them at 10-7.
Yeah.
I bumped them up to 11-6 because I didn't want to contradict my previous prediction for the Packers, because on our at FAA_bets account on Twitter, our podcast betting account, we put out a future Packers over 11 wins this season. So it's pushing here.
Right.
Oh wait, I forgot to talk about the Lions. My bad. I forgot to talk about the Lions and their the games I had starred. So before we get into the Packers schedule, we're gonna kind of loop back to the Lions schedule here. So games I had starred for Detroit, week 2 against the Commanders, I could see that being a loss. I tagged it as a win, but I think
it goes either way. I agree with that. That's a real 50-50 ball right there.
Yeah. That's what most of the starred ones were. And then I didn't have any other games starred until week 11.
Mm-hmm.
So week 11, 12, 13, all starred at the Giants. I have it as a loss. I could see the Lions winning that game. The Giants aren't that good.
Yeah, I think, and in fact, I was thinking either the Giants or the Jets. I feel like the Giants, it's their best chance of winning an away game this season. I agree with that. Right before the Thanksgiving week, I think at the Giants, I could definitely see the Lions, making some plays and getting the win there for sure.
Yeah, and then next one, week 12, was starred just because Thanksgiving. No other reason.
Josh Allen and the Bills will just steamroll them.
I always star primetime games. It's not a primetime, but it's a special game.
Hey, Thanksgiving is always fun.
Week 13, I have that as a win against home against the Jags. Why couldn't the Jags go to Detroit and win? I mean, better situation this year. They don't have a coaching issue this year.
Right.
So, yeah, I could see the Jags possibly going to Detroit and winning that one.
Yeah, without all the drama, I think the Jags, hopefully they'll be better this year. And yeah, if they end up improving, I could see them by week 13 coming out to Detroit and getting a win there.
Yeah, week 15 at the Jets. I have that as a win as well. Again, it's in New York. It's at MetLife Stadium. There have been very much mixed reviews about the Jets this offseason.
Right.
If they're improved under Zach Wilson, the offense is better. Robert Saleh gets the defense working. Could see the Lions taking an L on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last two, weeks 17, 18, home against the Bears. Again, I am not a Justin Fields guy. I could see the Lions winning that game.
Yeah, I think that's a real split. I mean, I think it does come down to whether Jared Goff or Justin Fields steps up and makes the plays they need to.
And then, week 18 at the Packers. I had that as a win. But like I said, if the Packers have anything to fight for, they're going to be playing Rodgers and everyone, and then the Packers would win that game.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I agree with that.
Okay, so back to where we were at anyways. 11-6 for me for Green Bay. 4-2 in the division, which you think 4-2, yeah, that's probably the best record in the division. It's not. You'll see one of the other teams has a better divisional record in the games. But week 1. Are you ready for this? At the Vikings, that's a loss.
Yeah. I agree. I think the Vikings are easily the most stacked team in our division in the NFC North this year.
Similar to what I was talking about with the Commanders, the chemistry, I don't think with Rodgers and the receivers outside of Lazard will be there week 1.
Oh, I agree.
So it's going to be tougher, even with a new coach in Minnesota.
Right. No, I agree with that.
Week 2, that's a Sunday night game. Home against the Bears, that is a win.
Yeah, that's a win.
Week 3, at the Bucks, that's a loss.
Yeah.
Tommy Boy's too good.
Tom Brady, God.
Week 4, home against the Patriots.
Win.
That is a win. Yeah. It's gonna be a tough win, but it's a win. Week 5, the Packers are technically the home team against the Giants. It's in London, week 5. That's a win.
That's a win. Yeah.
Week 6, home against the Jets is a win.
Yeah.
They go to Washington, week 7. They win that one.
Yep.
Week 8 at the Bills. That is a Sunday night.
Loss.
That is a loss.
That is a loss. Yeah.
Week 9 at the Lions. That is a win.
Win. Yeah.
Week 10, home against the Cowboys. Originally, when I had them at 10-7, I had this game as a loss, but I flipped this game to a win to get to 11-6.
I think this is a win for the Packers.
And then they go 2 primetime games in a row. Week 11, home against the Titans, Thursday night football. That is a win.
Win. Yeah.
Week 12 at the Eagles.
Don't you say it, Rusty. Don't you even go there.
That is a loss, my friend.
What?
They lost to the Eagles. Was it last year or 2 years ago? Right? In Green Bay.
I don't know. I don't have enough faith in Jalen Hurts.
You're telling me that the Packers can go into Philadelphia on a Sunday night with that Philly crowd.
Oh yeah. Aaron Rodgers, ice in his veins.
Mm-hmm.
You know that he engineered that great classic last second drive against the 49ers in San Francisco last year? Or how about the Packers going into an undefeated Arizona Cardinals and beating them last second? So yeah, I think the Packers, even with all of the pieces missing now, or lost from last year, I think the Packers go into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles.
No.
Yes. Yes, we'll see.
Week 13 at the Bears. That is a win.
Yep.
So they sweep Chicago.
And then a late bye.
Week 14, yeah. That's the last week of buys. There's actually a lot of teams that have that bye, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Week 15, home against the Rams. That is a Monday night game. That is a win.
Yep. I agree with that.
Week 16 at the Dolphins. That's a loss.
Wow.
I'm a big Dolphins guy this year, dude.
Wow. I don't know.
In Miami, that's a long way to go.
Yeah, that's a toughie. That's true.
Week 17, home against the Vikings. That is a win.
Yep.
And then week 18, home against the Lions.
Goes either way, of course.
I have it as a loss right now.
Yeah.
So 11-6 for me. Games I have starred. Oh, there's a lot of them because there's a lot of big matchups on the Packers schedule. Weeks 2 through 5, I have starred. Week 2 is a Sunday night game. Always, I think, good games when they play the Bears. So Sunday night there. Week 3 at the Bucks. That is marquee matchup. It's crazy. They have a lot of, especially early on in the season, they have a lot of 4:25 afternoon games.
Yeah.
4:25 Eastern, I should say.
Yeah.
Week 4, home against the Patriots. Again, I think the Patriots are one of those teams that is right there. They're going to be in the wild card conversation, the AFC this year. So I think they're a playoff caliber team that is going to be a tough game for the Packers. But I haven't beaten them. And then week 5, that's the London game. So that's why that one started.
Yeah. Right.
Week 8 at the Bills, Sunday night football. It's
gonna be a fun game, but yeah, the Bills in Buffalo gonna shred the Pack.
And then I have weeks 10 through 12 starred. The game at home against the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I had it as an L. I flipped it to a win. So week 11, home against the Titans. That's a Thursday night game. Another playoff caliber team there.
Yep.
Week 12 at the Eagles, Sunday night game. Playoff caliber team in the NFC. Weeks 15 and 16 are the last two I have. Monday nighter, home against the Rams.
Yeah.
Defending Super Bowl champs coming in.
Yeah, and I think that game has the potential to have some major playoff implications in terms of seeding. So I think that's definitely one to watch.
Yeah. And then week 16 at the Dolphins. That's my probably that one and the Eagles game are probably the two losses that I have the Packers taking that people might disagree with or be shocked about, but yeah, those are two, especially knowing how Philadelphia is and how that stadium is at night, and how the crowd gets. That's a very tough environment, and the Dolphins are. It's a tough environment going down to
Miami.
Fantasy. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback.
My QB1 from last season.
I'm not drafting him because people are going to take him too high.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean he's on one of my dynasty teams, or he was. I don't know if I still have him or not.
Well, I can't forgive him for last season because he was out a few games because of the COVID thing, and I lost some major points in our league for that. So no, it's tough to make the argument for him being a starting fantasy QB.
But yeah, I think definitely it's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be a QB1.
I mean, but Personally, I can't do that. Not after that, man. I was betrayed.
It's fine. There's enough other Packers fans in our league that will draft him.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Maybe Pat will betray the Bears and
goodness.
Rodgers.
Field of gold, and he drafts Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that's great.
Running backs: Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like drafting Aaron Jones. I think he's worth a lot, but I think what I saw a fantasy segment today with Field Yates, and they were talking about how much Devontae Adams scored 12 touchdowns from inside the 5-yard line, I think, last year.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that production going to go? It's going to go to AJ Dillon.
Right.
So I think that you're going to get touchdown vultured from Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
When it gets inside the 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with that.
So, I mean, if you can do what my one fraternity brother does with, or he used to do with Patriots running backs, draft them both, start them both.
I mean, yeah, that's one way to do it for sure.
I do think the Packers are going to be a more run-focused team this year, and the next couple of years, actually. So maybe that's a good strategy.
Yeah.
That's tough though. You have to, if once you get one though, then it's like you got to draft the other one earlier than what you normally would, because otherwise you're going to wait and then you're going to be like, damn, I didn't get him.
Right.
And then your whole plan apart.
It's true.
Wide receivers: Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins. Rodgers has talked Lazard up like
Lazard's good. He's dependable. I think he'll definitely earn you some points. And if you have to take, I mean, he's going to be the Packers' main target, by far, for sure. So I mean, that's probably a good bet as far as wideouts go.
Yeah, I like Alan Lazard as a high-end wide receiver too. I don't feel comfortable putting him in a wide receiver 1 slot yet.
I agree with that.
Sammy Watkins, look, this is a guy that has produced almost every spot that he's been.
Yeah.
The issue is he just can't stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I mean, I'm not touching him, but I think he does have wide receiver 3 type value, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially when we think about the target share, right? Yeah, how many targets are gone away with Adams, St. Brown, and Valdez Scantling now?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of targets to fill, and yeah, Watkins could help fill that void, take some of those away. Tight end Robert Tonyan. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he's at. I liked him a lot when he was healthy 2 years ago, and now a tight end 2, I guess. Rodgers likes him, I think, but I'm just not sure how he's going to bounce back because he had a pretty bad season last year.
Yeah, no, but Tonyan, I mean, he did have a tough year last year, but I think that, I don't know, I could see him bouncing back. I like him as a tight end overall. I think he's been dependable for the Packers as long as he's been with him, he's been with them. And also his chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, I think, really bodes well, because it's going to be Alan Lazard and it's going to be Robert Tonyan. Those are the 2 guys he's most familiar with. So I think that, but I agree with you. I would not take him as like a, top tier tight end or anything like that.
Right. The Packers defense. Look, I am really high on the Packers defense this year. I actually think that they will be a top 10 unit. So startable in a 10-man league, 12-man league in fantasy. I'm not so high to say I'm drafting them over some other teams like, the Chargers, Steelers, Bucks, whatnot.
Right.
I think they're a little bit of a sleeper.
Mhm.
If you draft them, I'd be comfortable drafting them if I had to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, last year's defense, I was kind of encouraged by what I was seeing as the season went by, and I would agree with that.
But what I would say with them, though, if you're going to take them and start them, make sure you have a good backup defense because you are going to need it the second half of the season. First half of the season is very nice. You get a game against the Vikings, which is tough, but startable, I think, defense-wise. But you get games with the Bears, the Giants, the Jets, Commanders, and Lions. So that's 5 out of the first 9 games that I think you can score a good amount of defensive fantasy points. But the second half is going to be very tough fantasy defense-wise with the Cowboys, the Titans, the Eagles, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Vikings again.
Right.
So the Bears and the Lions are the only 2 that I would feel comfortable about starting them the second half of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That'll be tough for sure.
So yeah, make sure you have a good backup defense if you're starting the Packers this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Kicker. Off, Nick. Mason Crosby.
Mason Crosby, dependable as always. I think I had him as kicker this last season in our league.
Terrible year last year.
Yeah, but absolutely. It's well, because remember, didn't they have that game against the Bengals that went into overtime and he missed like 3 game-winning field goals? So it definitely, that is tough. But like there have been some years where he's just been magnificent for the Packers. So I don't know. I mean, it's a mixed bag. But as far as kickers go, there are also a lot worse kickers in the NFL, I think. So I mean,
hey man, they got a rookie on the roster right now. He's pushing Mason. He's pushing. Yeah. Telling you, Gabe Burkick from Oklahoma. He's gonna lose that battle, but it's fine. I'm not touching Mason Crosby for sure. And then rookies, the 2 wideouts, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. I love them both. I would definitely draft Christian Watson in a redraft league. I'd be comfortable with him later rounds. And I'd draft both in Dynasty. Romeo Doubs has been getting a lot of praise in practice, and I had mentioned him when we did the NFC North draft recap in our 8th round series earlier this summer. Romeo Doubs is a guy I absolutely love at Nevada, and I think he has a lot of potential. It's just he's got to work his way up the depth chart. He's listed as the 5th receiver right now. Randall Cobb will be gone next year. Sammy Watkins will be gone next year. Alan Lazard could be gone next year.
Yeah.
But I love Romeo Doubs in Dynasty, and I like Christian Watson in both redraft and Dynasty.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I think the Packers are smart to draft some young guys, get some young talent for the wide receiver position. Because I agree. I mean, it's very plausible that Alan Lazard would be out. And yeah, I mean, I think that's right.
Okay.
So I will tell you at this point, I think I'm going to sign off here because I have done the Packers thing now and everything. I appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun, and I hope to be back very soon, Rusty.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, brother.
All right. We'll see you around.
So moving on to the Vikings here. Off-season acquisitions or re-signings here. The Vikings, not much going on. Re-signed quarterback Sean Mannion, corner Patrick Peterson, kicker Greg Joseph, and punter Jordan Berry. Free agency-wise, they signed wide receiver Albert Wilson, guard Chris Reed, offensive lineman Jesse Davis, defensive lineman Harrison Phillips, linebackers Jordan Hicks and Zadarius Smith, and corner Chandon Sullivan. They lost a lot of players, maybe not a lot of production, though. Running back Wayne Gallman, wide receiver Dede Westbrook, tight end Tyler Conklin, offensive lineman Mason Cole, defensive end Everson Griffin, defensive tackle Michael Pierce, defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson, linebackers Anthony Barr and Nick Vigil, corner Mackenzie Alexander, and safety Xavier Woods. So I think the biggest ones, Conklin at the tight end, like I said, not a lot behind Irv Smith Jr. right now. Hopefully he can come back by week 1. Mason Cole, good offensive lineman for them, going to be good for the Steelers, I think, this year. Barr was so-so. They were going to let him leave last year to go to the Jets. Didn't happen, but he's with the Cowboys now. So I don't think they lost that much in terms of production, and I think they got a lot in Hicks, Smith, and Phillips on defense specifically. Record-wise, I have the Vikings going 8-9, so missing the playoffs once again this year. But 5-1 in the division. Yeah, 5-1 in the division. That's crazy, right? They only win 3 games against other people. Week 1, home against the Packers. That is a win. I like that as a win. Like I mentioned with the Packers, there is, I think, going to be issues early on in the season with the wide receivers. The week 2 at the Eagles, I had that as a loss. Monday Night Football in Philly. That's just a tough situation that I don't think the Vikings are going to win. And we know Kirk Cousins struggles. He struggles against or on in prime time. So, yeah, I think that that will be a loss in Philly. Week 3, home against the Lions. That is a win. Week 4 at the Saints. That is a London game. That is a loss. Week 5, home against the Bears. That's a win. So 3 of the first 5 are divisional games, and they go 3-0 in division games to start there. Week 6 at the Dolphins. That is a loss. They have week 7 bye. Week 8, home against the Cardinals. That's a loss. Week 9 at the Commanders. That is a win. Week 10 at the Bills. It's a loss. 11 is home against the Cowboys. That is a loss. Week 12, home against the Patriots. That's on Thursday Night Football. That is a loss. Week 13, home against the Jets. That's a win. 14 at the Lions. That is a win. Week 15, home against the Colts. That's a loss. Week 16, home against the Giants. That's a win. Week 17 at the Packers. That's a loss. And week 18 at the Bears. That is a win. So yeah, 8-9, 5-1 in the division. Games I had starred, not too many here. But week 2 at the Eagles, that's a primetime Monday Night Football that I had them losing. Again, tough situation to go into in Philadelphia in primetime. Going to be raucous there. Week 4 at the Saints, that's a London game. Losing there. At the Dolphins, week 6, and again, AFC contender, I think, this year. Week 8, home against the Cards. It's a loss. Again, the Cardinals should be back in the playoff hunt, I think, this year. And DeAndre Hopkins will be back for that game. So that's a loss. Weeks 10 through 12 at the Bills, home against the Cowboys, home against the Patriots on Thursday night. Again, those are 3 playoff teams. Bills are a Super Bowl contender. They're going to lose all 3 of those. And the last one I have is week 15, home against the Colts as a loss. Again, it's another playoff contender, I think, in the AFC this year. Possible division winner in Indianapolis. So, yeah, that's a loss for Minnesota. Fantasy-wise, quarterback Kirk Cousins. Captain Kirk, I'm not touching him. He doesn't throw for as many yards as he did in Washington, I don't think, anyways. He's good, but he's not great in fantasy. So I'm not touching him. He's an okay backup if you need him, but I think he's on the lower end of the QB2s there. Running back Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison. Look, Dalvin Cook has seemed to find me in like every mock draft I've done. The couple best ball leagues that I did on DraftKings, both I have Dalvin Cook, I believe. And, Dalvin is a guy I like this year. I think they're going to be in a better offense there with, why am I blanking on who their coach is? With Kevin O'Connell there. Kevin O'Connell is coming off the Rams Super Bowl, and he's a Sean McVay disciple. You know what that means? That means they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, set up the play action. It's the same type system that Kirk Cousins ran in Washington when McVay was the offensive coordinator there. So I think it's going to be a good year for Dalvin Cook. Hopefully the offensive line can sustain the running game. And Cook will be drafted in the top 5, I think, this year. Alexander Mattison, definitely a good handcuff to have. I don't know if he has much value outside of that. So I'm not touching Madison, but definitely if you want to get him as a handcuff, draft him. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. You have to get Justin Jefferson if you can. I don't know if he's going to be a first-round guy, possibly, but he's definitely in the second-round conversation. So Justin Jefferson should be a superstar. He said he wants to break the receiving yardage record this year. So we'll see if he can do that. But we saw Kevin O'Connell just come off a season in which Cooper Kupp led the league in receiving receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. So if Justin Jefferson has that type of year, I mean, why not? Thielen is a guy, I think his value has been decreasing a little bit. Injured his ankle last year, wasn't the same. So I think he's a wide receiver 2, lower end wide receiver 2, but I think he still has wide receiver 2 value. There's enough targets to go around in that offense with both of those guys. So you can get Thielen probably in the later mid rounds. Tight end Irv Smith Jr., like I said, he's injured right now. Hurt his thumb, had surgery on his thumb. We'll see when he comes back. That puts a big question mark on his fantasy value. And I don't think they really used they used Conklin last year, not to the amount that you would like, but he's probably going to be the third option in the passing game, maybe in the fourth, if you include Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. So Irv Smith, I would draft him as a tight end 2 if you are drafting him. I'm too scared to draft him right now with the thumb injury, not knowing how he's going to produce when he does come back, if that's week 1 or further. The Vikings defense, look, I don't like the Vikings defense. They made some improvements. Jordan Hicks, Zadarius Smith. They drafted Lewis Seen, got Harrison Phillips. Yeah, I just don't like it. Not right now yet. So I'm not drafting them. I think they're going to be middle of the pack this year defensively. So yeah, I don't like him. Kicker Greg Joseph, though, I think he's going to be a good one. He's going to end up, I think, sneaky and a top 12 kicker, startable, I think. The Vikings kicked a lot of field goals last year, and they kicked a lot of field goals that meant stuff late in games. So Greg Joseph is a guy that I think you could get away with starting, and I did last year. So yeah, definitely you can draft him if you want. Probably not going to be a guy on a lot of people's radars, but I think he can be a starting caliber kicker in fantasy. Rookies, not going to make a lot of impact this year, but running back Ty Chandler has potential PPR value later down the road. I wouldn't roster him necessarily in Dynasty if you don't have a spot. You're not dropping anyone for Ty Chandler. The same can be said for wide receiver Jalen Naylor, whose upside I like more than Ty Chandler. Jalen Naylor is a guy that the Vikings drafted in the 6th round this year out of Michigan State. Very productive career with the Spartans, but listed as the 6th receiver right now. But I think Thielen will be gone. If not next year, he'll be gone after 2023. So I think possibly Naylor could have value in the future. But again, both of these guys aren't guys that you're going to roster necessarily in Dynasty if you don't have an open roster spot. Okay, time to finish up with the Bears. Their re-signings here, couple, just only a handful. Tight end Ryan Griffin, defensive back DeAndre Houston Carson, and of course the special teamers, we got to get them love. Long snapper Patrick Scales re-signed with Chicago as well. The Bears did a lot. They had a lot of in and out in terms of free agency acquisitions and losses. Sometimes, that's how it happens when a new coaching staff comes in. Matt Eberflus coming over from Indy, former defensive coordinator with the Colts there. So, free agency signings, trade acquisitions. They signed quarterbacks Trevor Siemian and Nathan Peterman. They traded for wide receiver N'Keal Harry. They also signed 5 other wide receivers: Byron Pringle, Equanimeous St. Brown, David Moore, Dante Pettis, and Tajay Sharp. They signed tight end James O'Shaughnessy, offensive tackles Julian Davenport and Riley Reif, guard Lucas Patrick, offensive lineman Dakota Dozier, defensive end Al-Qadim Muhammad, defensive tackle Justin Jones, linebacker Nicholas Morrow, and corner Tavon Young. Guys they lost, though, quarterbacks Andy Dalton and Nick Foles, running backs Tariq Cohen and Damian Williams, wide receivers Demir Bird, Jakeem Grant, Marquise Goodwin, and Allen Robinson, tight ends Jimmy Graham and Jesse James, offensive tackles Jermaine Ifedi and Jason Peters, guard James Daniels, nose tackle Eddie Goldman retired, defensive lineman Akeem Hicks and Bilal Nichols. They traded away linebacker Khalil Mack. They also lost linebackers Bruce Irvin, Alec Ogletree, and Danny Trevathan. Safeties Deion Bush and Tashawn Gibson, and then punter Pat O'Donnell as well. So, like I said, a lot of in, a lot of out. They replaced most of the guys at the same positions that they lost. I think it was just crazy. They added 6 receivers, but we keep talking about how they didn't do anything at receiver. The reason why we keep saying that is because they didn't do anything of note. They didn't add a big name guy. They didn't draft a big name receiver. Obviously, it's tough when you're not drafting until the 2nd, 3rd rounds. But yeah. The biggest loss, I think James Daniels was a big one in the middle at guard. Allen Robinson, obviously, their number 1 wide receiver. And then Khalil Mack, trading away your best pass rusher, that is tough. They paid Robert Quinn instead. 4-13 for me, for Chicago. I have the Chicago Bears finishing last in the NFC North. This is true. 1-5 in the division. I've never been a Justin Fields believer. I just do not think, for one, that he is an NFL starting quarterback. He didn't show enough for me last year in the starts that he did get. And for 2, there's not enough around him. I mean, they didn't do a lot of stuff on offense in the offseason to warrant a lot of help, So anyways, 4-13, 1-5 in the division. Week 1, they're hosting the 49ers. That's a loss. I think the Niners defense, I'm not a Trey Lance guy either, but I think the Niners defense is very good and they will get to Fields a lot. So week 1, that's a loss. Week 2 at the Packers, Sunday Night Football, that's a loss. Uh, week 3, home against the Texans. Yes, this is a Davis Mills fan account here. Texans go into Chicago, beat the Chicago Bears. Love it. Davis Mills, go get them. Texans. At the Giants, I think they win. I think they do beat the Giants at MetLife Stadium. I think that's just the defense is going to be good enough to rattle Daniel Jones, make him force a couple turnovers, and they can win that one there. Week 5 at the Vikings, that is a loss. Week 6, home against the Commanders, Thursday Night Football, that's a win. Again, it's at home, so I think that makes it a little bit easier. Short week for Washington to head out to Chicago, so I think they can get that one done. I don't trust Carson Wentz in prime time. Week 7 at the Patriots, that's Monday Night Football, that's a loss. Week 8 at the Cowboys, that's a loss. Week 9 is home against the Dolphins, is a loss. Week 10, home against the Lions, that's a win. Week 11 at the Falcons, that is a win. Week 12 at the Jets, that's a loss. So I think the Jets are better than the Bears right now, and I think the Jets will get them at home. So the Packers in Chicago, week 13, that is a loss. They also have a week 14 bye. Week 15, home against the Eagles, that's a loss. Home against the Bills, week 16, that's a loss. At the Lions, week 17 is a loss. And then hosting the Vikings, week 18 is a loss as well. So they finished on a 6-game losing streak. Games I have starred, just 5. Week 2 at the Packers, primetime Sunday Night Football. Might be a good game. Like I said, it usually is when it's a Bears-Packers game, being the oldest rivalry in the NFL. But yeah, that's a loss. The Texans game in Chicago, week 3, I know could be a win, possibly. I could see it. I could see the Bears winning. But I love Davis Mills, love what the Texans have done. I think Lovie Smith gets it done in Chicago and beats the Bears. Week 6, that's a primetime game. Week 6 and 7, home against the Commanders, that's a win. And then week 7 at the Patriots, Monday Night Football, that's a loss. And then the last one I have, week 12 at the Jets, is a loss. I could see the Bears winning that one. That's a toss-up game for me. So could be a potential win there. Maybe they get to 5-12, but I have them 4-13. So my final, actually, I'll get to that at the end there. But yeah, fantasy quarterback Justin Fields, I don't like. Like I said, I don't like it. I'm not a Justin Fields guy. It's just not. He doesn't do it for me. Struggled last year. I don't know if they got much better in protection. They have the similar line coming back. They added Schofield at guard to replace James Daniels. I think that's a downgrade. They moved Tevin Jenkins to right tackle, or they kept him there, I guess. Signed Riley Reef at left tackle. We'll see. He has never been the greatest, but serviceable. And then they added Lucas Patrick from the Packers to play center. I know he has been injured, I think, in the preseason here. We'll see how that goes. He just needs to, in order to improve, he needs to not hold onto the ball as long and not run when you don't need to. Sometimes there's a pocket there that you have to just stay in and don't get out and run, because that's when you get yourself into bad situations. So, yeah, I'm not drafting Justin Fields. I know people will. I don't like him, though. Running back, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. David Montgomery is a guy a couple of years ago won me a fantasy championship, or got me to the fantasy championship. I like him. I don't love him. They're going to be running, I think. They're going to be a run-based offense with Fields and Monty, but I don't think they're going to be in enough games to be able to run the ball enough. And that does not bode well for Montgomery's fantasy touches there. So, yeah, I would take him. RB2 value for me. He'll probably go before I have him on my radar though. Khalil Herbert, I don't really like in fantasy. Had some nice games when Monty was hurt last year. But I don't think there's enough touches in that backfield to warrant a draft selection. Now, Dynasty, though, if you're doing a startup or if Herbert is somehow available, I think it'd be a good option to sit on your bench. Or if you have a taxi squad like my league added this year, be a good option there. Wide receiver, Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle, N'Keal Harry. Mooney is the guy there that you want. He's going to have wide receiver 2 value, even with, I think, ending up Justin Fields at quarterback. Like him, the only issue is he's going to be seeing each team's number 1 corner. I think that's going to devalue him. So that's why I say wide receiver 2 and not high, maybe high. He has potential to be high-end wide receiver 2. But I would stick him mid-tier wide receiver 2 right now. Byron Pringle, possibly wide receiver 3. I don't like him as much as N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry, hoping he comes back with the high ankle sprain. But yeah, N'Keal Harry I like a lot. I think he has a lot of value as a potential wide receiver 3. The tight end, Cole Kmet, love him. Cole Kmet is a guy just like TJ Hawkinson in Detroit that continues to produce. I think Cole Kmet is going to be a top 12 fantasy tight end this year. Even again, with not so good quarterback play, I think Kmet has a good season and you could get him as your starter or potentially a top backup trade piece. Bears defense. I kind of like them, but again, I don't as well. I don't think they're going to have enough pass rush. Robert Quinn is their only real threat there. Al-Qadim Muhammad signed from the Colts, but he hasn't been a starter, for his whole career. So I think that's going to be an issue. Quinn's going to get double teamed a lot. They don't have the linebackers. I mean, I don't even know who Matt Adams is. That is slated on the depth chart right now as the starting strong side linebacker. I mean, he had 8 tackles last year. He's a 2018 7th round pick of the Colts, out of Houston. I have no clue. I've never even heard of that guy. But Jack Sanborn, maybe DeMarcus Gates gets in there to fill that spot. There's not enough around Roquan. I think Roquan's going to have a great season, but I don't like it. Their secondary is actually very good. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Eddie Jackson, Tavon Young, Duke Shelley there. But the front 7 is questionable for me. I think they're going to be mid-tier at best, so not touching the Bears defense. And then kicker Cairo Santos, I don't like him either. They're not going to score enough points to warrant fantasy consideration for Santos this year. Rookie wide receiver Velus Jones. Look, he's a guy that I don't think he's going to get drafted in many redraft leagues. He could possibly, but definitely a guy you should target in Dynasty. Look, I already mentioned it talking about the other wide receivers. There is a massive target share to be doled out here with Robinson leaving and the other guys. So I think Velus Jones could potentially be, the 2. And if Mooney's getting all the coverage, Velus Jones could be a guy that could have a nice season. Definitely stash him on Dynasty. I know I did in a couple of leagues, but probably not going to be touching him in redraft. So my final NFC North prediction here, I have the Packers winning the division at 11-6, the Vikings in second at 8-9, the Lions at third at 6-11, and the Bears in fourth place 4-13. And then next week we'll be back. It'll be the final show I'm on the road for, so we'll finally get back to Monday and Friday shows when I'm back in Milwaukee. But next week, training camp week 4. We will have preseason week 1 game recaps, and we'll be also continuing our season preview series with the NFC South Bucks, Saints, Falcons, and Panthers. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Nick, for coming on today, filling in. I appreciate him. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. And also don't forget to follow our new account at FAA_bets. We'll be ramping that up as the season comes along.